Hello and welcome, my dear skill modelers, to my small hobby YouTube channel. Today I will be narrating this build video for you today.
Over my dead body, you will. Come in.
No, you bastard! I can do this! I can do this! I can do this! No! No! I love you!
Hello and welcome, dear scale modelers, to my small hobby YouTube channel, and this is yet another build video for your entertainment purposes. Today we're going to be tackling the Bell Jet Ranger 206, the Slovenian Army training helicopter version. You have just seen me cut out all the cockpit bits and bobs that go inside the helicopter, and now I'm just taking off the body of the helicopter, and here I'm going to be snipping down the antenna that is not present in our version. So, to give you a clear idea what kind of a helicopter I'm building, this is a picture that you can see. This is just one of the versions of the helicopter that we have in our army for training purposes. It is a variant of the 206 Bell Jet Ranger that you see me do the review of ITALERI kit, and this one has some unique features that I wanted to replicate, and thus I took many photographs. These pictures were actually taken this year, I think in late spring or maybe even summer, I don't really remember, at the Air Force Base in Crkve ob Krki. I took some detailed photographs of the main features of the aircraft while I was there, but of course, because there were many other people there, I had to wait until people moved out of the way because everybody just wanted to see the helicopter in person and be inside the cockpit and just, having a good time. Like with all the aircraft, you first start with the cockpit assembly, and this one is no different. Here I'm just showing you what I had to remove to modify the cockpit just a little bit to make it as realistic to or true to the original that I'm trying to replicate as possible. And here I'm just sanding down these little stubs that were there that are really not present in our version. And I actually snipped off the guide pins on the center console because ITALERI has very bad alignment issues with its kit, so that's just one of the modifications I had to do. Now, to give you an idea what kind of a look I was going for with this build, these are some cockpit interior photographs of the helicopter itself. I didn't take a lot of photographs of the interior, I just took some just to give me a reference, because on a 72nd scale model it doesn't really matter what kind of an interior you have because you won't be able to see a lot of the interior detail anyway. I just wanted to get the overall feel right. Here I'm just filling the huge hole that is in the dividing wall between the front of the cockpit and the back. And here I am actually hacking off the ammo box, I think, that is in the helicopter that comes with the kit. Because the original kit is a police version kit, and I think this is an ammo box. So I'm just using this portion for the base of my bench that I'm going to be building. And here I'm just cutting out some styrene. It's a very crude bench. I'm just making a flat surface, really not even bothering to sanding it down very much. I just wanted to make a basic shape of the bench. Like I said, you won't be able to see the whole thing anyway. So here I'm gluing the base down. Yeah, it's not really perfect, I know. And then I'm just gonna be gluing up the seat portion and the back rest next. To give you a clearer idea what modifications I had to do on both sides of the fuselage, these are things that I had to modify. Because the helicopter out of the box is used for a different purpose, for a different version, I had to do some modifications to the fuselage, and I had to fill these little holes, I had to scrape off this little thingy on the door, and I had to remove the door handles themselves because our door handles are embedded in the fuselage themselves. Also, the panel lines are a little bit exaggerated here, but you know, it's okay. Just for my purposes, it's just fine. This is me boring out the holes in the exhaust pipes for the helicopter. I have to mention here that the exhaust pipes are a little bit too obtrusive from the fuselage, and before I noticed this, it was a bit too late because I already glued them in place, so I'll just have to live with it. Here I'm just removing the raised detail that is present on doors, because you know, our doors are smooth as baby's butt. The raised detail on this model is pretty cool, so I had to protect it with some masking tape because I was using a very coarse sanding stick. The model's aligning pins are really crap, so I had to improvise and improve upon the design. So I just took some styrene and cut it out into little rectangles and placed them on the inner edge of the fuselage and glued them in place so that when I would put the two halves together, they would align good, but not perfect. Here I had to fabricate and place down the hinges. To replicate this thing, I took some brass tubing, bent it into shape. Then I drilled out some holes and placed it inside and glued them or secured them from the inside. Autofocus sucks. Because a lot of the details here were ad hoc, so I didn't really film them. So here I'm just showing you what I did while I was not filming. In the cockpit area, I used some brass tubing to replicate the handles and the foot pedals. These clear parts are small, not very clear, but they will do. I cut them out from the sprue, I placed them on masking tape and masked them from both sides. Then I placed them inside the cockpit, glued them in place, and then proceeded with spraying the interior cockpit portion with primer and then the base color that was buff from Tamiya. Before I glued them in place though, I had to use some Sharpie to color the inner window arches with black because I did not want to see white showing through. This is how it turned out, and for gluing the windows in place I used clear cement from Revell. The very last outside major features were these little steps that go on the skids on the sides. I think they're a little bit too big for the scale, but it's okay. The tail rotor has 3 black stripes on its blades. So what I've done is I've painted the tail rotor in white, flat white. Then I cut out masking tape in 1mm wide strips, divided the tail rotor accordingly, and protected the surface so that when I sprayed it with black, the white will not be destroyed, thus achieving the desired look. And with that, the model is completed. Now it's time for some critiques. Yes, I can criticize my own work. This was my second attempt at replicating a real-life helicopter from pictures that I've taken a couple of months ago in spring. I tried to be as faithful as I could to the overall outside appearance of the training helicopter that we have in our army. Now there are several variants of this helicopter still present, and I've only managed to do one. That's because 1, I only had one model to work with, and 2, because I only had one set of decals that I made. So I tried to be as true to the original as I could be. Now, to be fair, the model is not exactly correct. Although it has great surface detail, raised detail, if you look at it from one side, so from the front or the back, you'll see that they are kind of misaligned. One side is higher than the other. Now I could have done like a sanding. I could have sanded off all the details, surface detail, and then used my drill to make the rivets. That would just take too much time, and really for a 72nd scale model, I don't know, maybe I'm just lazy. This is far from like a show winning model. The biggest critique that I have for this particular build was I have the darndest time putting in clear parts, and that's not just for this one. It's for all my models that I built. There's a smudge, a fingerprint, or a dust, or a flake of paint somewhere that it's annoying. And this one, there is a little bit of a flake of paint on the inside of the cockpit window, which is, oh my god. Boo! Canopies and windows in general are my Achilles heel. Second, decals. I've made the decals myself. I drew them up and printed them out. I got them printed actually. And some of them are a little bit too small. The emblem on the door is a little bit too small, and the sign that says Green Yuri on the side is just a tiny little too small. So when some manufacturer releases this model in 72nd scale again, I will fix the decals and make sure that they are true to scale. Third critique, paint job and placement of decals. Now, sometimes I amaze myself how stupid I could be, why I do things that do not work. Because I know what works and what doesn't, and I just try it anyway. What you talking about, fool? Talking about clear coats. Now, I don't know what was going on in my mind at the time, but I decided to clear coat the helicopter with matte clear coat, which meant that the decals that went on there, well, silver. Yeah, stupid. I don't know why I did that. I just did, and that was the message. Great. So, mental note to myself, don't do that anymore. And the fourth critique would be masking. I've learned how to mask pretty well, but I'm an impatient person. Impatience kills in this hobby. Because of this, I had to redo the whole paint job of the helicopter again, second time. Because I poorly masked the surfaces, and the paint went up, over, everywhere. And it was just like a nightmare. So yes, I do make mistakes, a lot of them, but I don't show them on camera because the footage would probably take like a day. With those critiques out of the way, I still think that the model looks pretty decent. It's not a showstopper by any means, but I did include a lot of details that only people who fly this helicopter would probably recognize that they're there. Otherwise, you have to point them out. Look. Those were my critiques. Yes. Now it's time for you to see the finished model in all its glory, if you can say that. Enjoy. Thank you so very much for watching if you have been. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I'll see you again soon next time.